ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। Srimad Bhagavatam, third canto, chapter 26, Fundamental Principles of Material Nature, text 39. द्रव्याकृतित्वं गुणता व्यक्ति संस्थात्वं एव च तेजस्त्वं तेजसः साध्वी रूप मात्रस्य वृत्तयः। द्रव्याकृतित्वं गुणता व्यक्ति संस्थात्वम् एव च तेजस्त्वं तेजस स्वाध्वी रूपमात्रस्य वृत्तयः। द्रव्याकृतित्वं गुणता व्यक्ति संस्थात्वमेव च तेजस्त्वं तेजस साध्वी रूपमात्रस्य वृत्तयः। द्रव्याकृतित्वं गुणता व्यक्ति संस्थात्वमेव च तेजस्त्वं तेजस्व साध्वी रूपमात्रस्य वृत्तयः।
द्रव्याकृतित्वं गुणता व्यक्ति संस्थात्वम् एव च तेजस्त्वं तेजसा साध्वी रूपमात्रस्य वृत्तयः।
द्रव्याकृतित्वं गुणता व्यक्ति संस्थात्वमेव च तेजस्त्वं तेजसः साध्वी रूपमात्रस्य वृत्तयः।
द्रव्याकृतित्वं गुणता संस्थात्वमेव च तेजस्त्वं तेजस साध्वी रूपमात्रस्य वृत्तयः।
द्रव्याकृतित्वं गुणता व्यक्ति संस्थात्वमेव च तेजस्त्वं तेजस साध्वी रूपमात्रस्य वृत्तयः।
द्रव्याकृतित्वं गुणता व्यक्ति संस्थात्वमेव च तेजस्त्वं तेजस साध्वी
रूपमात्रस्य वृत्तयः। Very good. Thank you.
द्रव्याकृतित्वं गुणता व्यक्ति संस्थात्वमेव च तेजस्त्वं तेजसा साध्वी रूपमात्रस्य वृत्तयः।
Hare Krishna. Dravya of an object. Akrititvam, dimension. Gunata, quality. Bhakti sangsthatvam, individuality. Eva, also. Cha, and. Tejastvam, effulgence. Tejasaha, of fire. Sadhvi, O virtuous lady. Rupa matrasya, of the subtle element form. Vrittayaha, the characteristics. Translation by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. My dear mother, the characteristics of form are understood by dimension, quality and individuality. The form of fire is appreciated by its effulgence. Please repeat. My dear mother, the characteristics of form are understood by dimension, quality, and individuality. The form of fire is appreciated by its effulgence. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Every form that we appreciate has its particular dimensions and characteristics. The quality of a particular object is appreciated by its utility. But the form of sound is independent. Forms which are invisible can be understood only by touch. That is the independent appreciation of invisible form. Visible forms are understood by analytical study of the constitution. The constitution of a certain object is appreciated by its internal action. For example, the form of salt is appreciated by the interaction of salty taste. And the form of sugar is appreciated by the interaction of sweet taste. Taste and qualitative constitution are the basic principles in understanding the form of an object. Taste and qualitative constitution are the basic principles in understanding the form of an object. Dravya akrititvam gunata bhakti sangsthatvam evacha tejastvam tejasa sadhvi rupa matrasya vrittayaha. My dear mother, the characteristics of form are understood by dimension, quality and individuality. The form of fire is appreciated by its effulgence. So, Kapil Dev is explaining to his mother about first the material nature and then the spiritual nature. That is the principle of Sankhya philosophy, analytical study. First, they analyze the perceivable material nature. What is the material nature? That we can perceive. And this now he is analyzing different perceptions. The nature is manifested, and the manifestation is relative to our perception. We are perceiving this nature. And Kapil Dev is gradually explaining how from the spiritual reality this material nature became manifest, and then after that he'll go back to the spiritual reality. The cause of this material creation is spiritual. This material nature is not a product of a big bang or a primordial soup. That is their misconception. They just speculated all these kinds of theories. But the actual scientific understanding is coming here. And we can see how scientific it is. Like, the first is, what is the subtlest of all elements? Ether. The subtlest of all elements is ether. Then from ether comes the sound. The ether interacts with our ears, and we hear the sound. Actually, modern science doesn't even know what ether is. They don't have any understanding of ether. So that shows like how limited their speculation is. The sound comes from ether. The interaction between ether and ears, the sound is produced in ether and ear is perceiving it. Or the sound is coming through the ether and ears are perceiving it, receiving it. Then what is next to sound? Next to ether? Air. Like this is a transformation, he's pointing out actually. The air is a transformation of sound. And then the qualities of air is which sense perceive or interact with air. The skin interacts with air and the touch is produced. The touch sense is produced. And then it is from touch comes fire, the next element. This is how gradually they're transforming. And the touch is produced. And this here, that fire aspect is being discussed. I'm sorry, the form. From fire comes the form. Air interacts with skin, touch is produced. And then comes the fire. It's further analyzed into fire. Further transformed into fire. And what does fire interact with? Fire interacts with eyes. And the form is produced. We can see the form with our eyes. We can see, like, fire is also producing light. Tejastvam tejasaha. The tejas, tam, tejasaha. Tejasaha is fire. And the quality of fire or the effulgence of fire is light. Or effulgence of light comes from fire. If there was no light, could we see? We can see how scientific it is. Like our eyes are seeing only because of the presence of fire. And the form is produced in that way. And then they are also pointing out the form has three characteristics. The form has three characteristics. The form has a dimension. All forms have at least two dimensions, length and breadth. And most of the forms have three dimensions. All the forms actually is three-dimensional. The form must have length, breadth, and height. So, this is the one characteristic. It has a dimension. And the dimensions has the quality. Dimension has a quality. Like we see a tree, it has a three dimension, it has a quality. Then different types of trees. Mango tree, palm tree, neem tree. Different trees have different characteristics. Just by seeing the tree we know which tree it is. So this is distinctive quality. And they have individuality. The forms, all forms have individuality. Like a camera has a form, and then if it's a Nikon camera, it has one kind of form. If it's a JVC, it's another kind of form. So this is how we are seeing. The form has characteristics, from that we can identify. Rather we can say personality. Not only the living entities have personalities, any form has a personality. Bhaktitvam has a personality. And what to speak of living entities? Every living entity is an individual and has its personality. Those personalities are endowed with qualities. And then it has pointed out that from the fire comes the effulgence. The form of fire is appreciated by its effulgence. I'll go over to the next verse also briefly, because this is a short verse and this is also describing the qualities of fire. The next verse is, give him the book, Haribol, give. Rather you come and sit next to him and see it.
I told him he actually ought.
Dotanang pachanang panam adanang himamardanam tejasa brittayasteta shoshanang kshutringevacha. Fire is appreciated by its light and by its ability to cook, to digest, to destroy cold, to evaporate, and to give rise to hunger, thirst, eating and drinking. Where do you find such scientific understanding of fire?
True evolution.
Huh?
This is true evolution.
True evolution, yeah. Like modern science looks like, kindergarten start fantasy.
Peter Pan.
Peter Pan, yeah. See the qualities of fire? What does fire do? The fire has light. One of the qualities of fire is light. Then the fire is distinct by its ability to cook, to digest. Actually, this understanding modern medicine don't have. They don't know like what causes digest, but actually in the Vedic understanding, we have it very, very clear. There is a thing called Jataragni. Jataragni, Jatar means stomach and Agni means fire. So there is one kind of fire and that is there in the stomach. And Prabhupada actually makes that point that the body has fire. He's making that point. If there is no fire, then how the temperature is coming in the body? How come there is temperature? Every living body has temperature. So if there was no fire, how can there be heat? And what does this fire do? The fire, where is the fire situated? The fire is situated at the base of our stomach. Subtly. We cannot really cut the stomach and see the fire. Actually, the characteristics of the fire is manifest through acid. There are liquid fire. Acid is one kind of fire. Like something, say for example a metal can melt with fire. You can make metal melt with fire. But you can also make metal melt with acid. You put acid, it melts. So what is? So acid is fire. It's a fire, liquid fire. Alcohol is liquid fire. Intoxicants are liquid. Poison is fire.
Poison's fire.
Poison is fire.
Chemical.
Liquid fire.
Chemical bomb.
Liquid fire, like for example, when one takes poison, his body he burns. His inside burns. What causes the burning is the fire. And you can see where, like alcohol in 98%, you put a matchstick, it'll just spirit. It'll burn. Petrol is liquid fire. So these are all fire, but they're in the liquid form. So in our stomach, the fire that is there is manifested in the form of acid. People think that is the acid that is digesting the food, but it's actually the fire that is digesting the food. So Ayurveda recognizes that fact. That is the fire of digestion. Kapha, Pitta. That Pitta is that aspect. They say, in Bengal there is an expression, Pitta Pada. That is, if there is, you see, the Pitta, the fire is there, and if food is not there, what will the fire do? The fire starts to corrode the intestine. The ulcers are caused by that. The ulcers are caused by that. We get gastric ulcer. What is causing the gastric ulcer? It is you can see like acid is there. Let's take it in a gross perception. Acid is there. Now, the acid is meant to digest the food, to decompose the food. Digestion means decomposition. In Sanskrit, the word is pachan. Pachan means rotting. Rotting and decomposition means the same. It decomposes. Its structure breaks. And then it is absorbed by the body. So, if the food is not there, but the acid is there, then what will acid do? Acid corrodes the linings of the intestine. And that is called gastric ulcer. So, we can see that here, and the fire has the ability to digest. The food is digested. Food is cooked, then we eat it, then it's further cooked in the stomach and decomposed. And then what happens? The desirable parts are accepted in the system, and the undesirable part is rejected out of the system. And what does fire do? Fire destroys cold. This is also another nice consideration. What is cold? Cold is actually absence of fire. What is darkness? Darkness is absence of light. So just as darkness is removed by light, where there is light there cannot be any darkness. Where there is fire there cannot be any cold. So, and this, what does the fire do? It causes water to evaporate and gives rise to hunger, thirst, eating and drinking. We get hungry. What does it mean? The fire is burning in the stomach. You know what is the Ayurvedic term for indigestion? Agni Manda. Agni means fire and Mandya means lacking of fire. So the food is there in the stomach, but there is no fire to cook it. So what happens to the food? It just sits there.
Putrefies.
That's what happened to Agni Dev. Agni Dev, he drank so much ghee in the sacrifice that Agni Dev started to suffer from Agni Mandya. The fire god was suffering from lack of fire because his his digestive system became inactive. So that's how he came. And the way to cure was to eat up one forest. So he lit up the forest and he would eat up all the animals in the forest, and that's how the fire would be subsided. Our fire would be ablazed, the fat of the animals. And that's why he went to Khandaprastha. There's a huge forest, Khandav Ban. And he tried to eat it, but in Khandav, Indra's friend, Takshak, the snake that killed Parikshit Maharaj, used to reside. And therefore, as soon as Agnidev would light it up, we can see here that the forest fire